Have you ever wondered what would happen if the person you trusted most wanted you dead? In today's episode, we're diving into shocking true crime stories where love took a deadly turn. From chilling hitman plots to unbelievable betrayals, these cases show how far some will go to escape marriage. Dahlia.
I'm Sergeant Ramsey. I'm the one that called you. Thank you for coming. I'm sorry to call you. Listen, we had a report of a disturbance at your house, and there were shots fired. Is your husband Michael? Okay, I'm sorry to tell you, ma'am. He's been killed. He's been killed, man. I'm sorry.
No, he's not.
Listen.
What you're seeing now is Dahlia DiPolito reacting to the news of her husband's death. But the entire scene, from her emotional breakdown to the officer's report, is actually staged. The police were conducting an operation to expose a murder plot. In 2008, Dahlia DiPolito was juggling her real estate job with work as an escort. It was during this time that she met Michael DiPolito, a man who had a checkered past involving fraud, but had found some financial success. Their relationship moved fast, and soon they were married. But beneath the surface, things weren't going well. Dahlia was manipulating Michael's criminal history for her own benefit, and things took a dark turn when she started plotting to get him out of the way, permanently. Dahlia didn't act alone. She sought help from an ex-boyfriend, Mohammed Shihadi, asking him to find someone who could kill her husband. But Shihadi had no intention of helping her. Instead, he went straight to the police and shared what Dahlia had asked him to do. After Shihadi's warning, the police enlisted him as a confidential informant. He helped them set up a public meeting with Dahlia where they could record her discussing the murder-for-hire plot. She gave him money for the hitman and a photo of Michael, providing enough evidence for authorities to take the next step. To make sure they had a solid case, the police set up a sting operation. An undercover officer, posing as a hitman, met with Dahlia to finalize the details.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I have to say, fuck the money. I just want to get the job done.
Right.
Understand?
Well,
So,
I mean, he walks the dog in the morning, and when he walks, every morning he's walking the dog like at a certain time. We leave our front door unlocked.
Oh, perfect. And are you going to be home Wednesday morning?
Wednesday morning, yeah, unless you tell me otherwise.
All right. Okay. Do you go jogging in the morning? Do you go to the gym in the morning?
I was going to the gym, yeah. I mean, if I go tomorrow, it's not going to look weird or anything.
She was cold and methodical, giving the officer instructions on when and how the murder should happen. With this information, law enforcement moved ahead with a plan to fake Michael's death. The police looped Michael into the plan, explaining that his wife had arranged for his murder. Shocked but willing to help, he agreed to participate. While Dahlia was at the gym following her alibi, the police staged the crime scene, complete with fake blood and caution tape. They then called Dahlia and told her to come home. Back at the station, Dahlia was questioned by detectives. She tried to shift the focus onto Michael's past and his enemies, but her calm demeanor crumbled when officers revealed that her husband was still alive.
Sit back down. Here, stay right here. You can stay right there.
Oh my God!
He's alive.
Come here, please. Come here. Mike, come here. Come here, please. Come here.
Can't sit there.
Why not? I didn't do anything
I
to
heard
you.
you.
Mike, come here, please. Come here.
The whole plot had been a setup, and now Dahlia was facing charges for solicitation to commit murder. In the end, the sting operation worked perfectly. Dahlia DiPolito was arrested and later convicted of soliciting her husband's murder.
Dahlia DiPolito called out for her mom as a deputy tried to take her into custody. 6 jurors found DiPolito guilty of hiring a hitman in 2009 to kill her then-husband, Mike DiPolito.
She was sentenced to 16 years in prison. While her story is a reminder of how greed and betrayal can twist a marriage into something deadly, the next story is even more unbelievable. Lulu.
And this young man named Mundo just happened to walk into a conversation that my wife, Lulu at the time, was having out of all people with her daughter in my office about a young man in the gym that has people in Mexico that chops up people for money. And Lulu made the gesture like, maybe we can use it.
What would you do if the person you loved and trusted tried to have you killed? That's exactly what happened to Ramon Sosa, a man who had to fake his own death to escape his wife's deadly plan. Ramon Sosa was a boxing coach with a successful gym. In 2007, he met Lulu, a mother of 2 who had just moved to the U.S. for a fresh start. They fell in love quickly, got married, and seemed to be building a happy life together. Lulu was beautiful, charming, and very involved in the gym's success.
We were just got married. Everybody was congratulating us, and her mother walked up to me and gave me a hug, and then she whispered in my ear, "Now she's your trouble."
What Ramon didn't know was that behind her smile, Lulu had a darker plan in mind. Over time, their relationship began to fall apart. As Lulu became more comfortable in the U.S. and saw the financial success they were enjoying, Ramon noticed something changing. He began to suspect she didn't need him anymore. What he couldn't have guessed was that Lulu wanted much more than just a divorce. She wanted him dead. With Mundo's help, Ramon went to the police. Together, they devised a plan to catch Lulu in the act.
To prove Lulu wanted Ramon killed, police needed his help in an elaborate undercover sting operation, where Ramon would literally have to play dead.
The police arranged for an undercover officer to pose as a hitman. Lulu met with the hitman in a parking lot, offering jewelry and a promise of payment after Ramon's death. She was very clear. She wanted him dead, and she wanted it done soon. The police needed solid proof to arrest Lulu, so they decided to take the operation a step further. They staged Ramon's death by having him lie in a shallow grave covered in dirt and made to look like he had been killed. Photos were taken showing him with a bullet wound in his head, ready to be shown to Lulu. With all the evidence in place, the police moved in to arrest Lulu. They confronted her at the gym, pretending to investigate Ramon's disappearance. Lulu played innocent, claiming she didn't know where her husband was. But when the police told her that she was under arrest, she was completely stunned.
So fast forward to today, just more than 1 year later, 41-year-old Maria Sosa has admitted to the murder-for-hire plot.
Lulu eventually took a plea deal, agreeing to a 20-year prison sentence. If she had gone to trial, the evidence was so overwhelming that she likely would have faced life in prison. Julia.
I was looking at my calendar and I was thinking either the 18th of April.
It all started when Julia Murfeld, a young woman from Michigan, decided she no longer wanted to be married to her husband, Jake. But instead of going through a regular divorce, she made a horrifying choice. She wanted him dead. Julia believed it was simply easier. She would avoid breaking his heart and getting judged by her family. In a bizarre move, she approached one of her co-workers and shared her sinister plan.
You know, we started going into details and, hey, I want you to do this, I want you to do that. Here's a list of what I want you to take, make it look like a break.
$400,000. That's how much 21-year-old Julia Murfeld would get if her husband was dead. The man she tried to hire says he wasn't going to prison and told police
he was not interested, so she tried hiring someone else. What she did not know was this hitman was actually an undercover officer. He pressed her for details. How do you want it done? Julia didn't seem too picky. She mentioned it would be best if the hitman avoided making a mess in the house. She even asked for the murder to be painless, though she said she didn't want an open casket, worrying about how it might look. The officer offered different methods, from a gunshot to breaking Jake's neck, and Julia replied with chilling indifference. She just wanted it done quickly. In the end, Julia left most of the planning to the hitman. Whatever is easiest, she said, as if she were asking someone to run a simple errand.
I can do it any way you want me to, but I just want to know how you want it done.
Really, whatever's easiest. If you can get him outside, that would be great.
Okay.
But, I mean, if you absolutely can't, I'll understand, you know.
All she wanted was for the murder to happen, and soon. She even suggested specific dates for when the hitman should carry out the job. Julia's biggest mistake was trusting the wrong person. She had no idea that every word she spoke was being recorded by law enforcement. The undercover cop captured everything on tape: her motives, her plans, and her lack of remorse. It was all laid out clearly, making her intentions undeniable. Shortly after the meetings, Julia was arrested. She was completely blindsided when police informed her of her husband's survival and her role in the investigation. It turned out that the entire murder-for-hire plot had been a setup from the start. Julia pleaded guilty to solicitation of murder and was sentenced to between 5 years and 8 months and 20 years in prison. Despite Julia's failure to be a good wife, Jake addressed the court, stressing the importance of her role as a mother.
For a long time, because I know the young years of a child's life are the most important ones, and I'd like her to be there for every single second that she can.
Megan.
We received a complaint early last week that your wife wanted to have you killed.
It all started when the police received a disturbing complaint early last week. The man's wife, who had given him a Valentine's card just the night before, had secretly hired a hitman to murder him. The authorities had been investigating for a while, gathering evidence. They informed the husband that his wife had provided the hitman with critical details, including his work schedule, appearance, and the type of car he drove. At first, the husband was in disbelief, thinking this had to be some sort of mistake. But the officer made it clear this was not a joke. The wife had gone as far as to hand over their wedding rings and $402 in cash as a down payment to the undercover officer who was posing as the hitman. Even with the evidence laid out, including the rings that had belonged to his great-grandmother, the husband struggled to accept the reality of the situation. The police explained that his wife fully expected him to go ice fishing and never return, having planned his death while acting completely normal just hours earlier. What seemed like a loving relationship turned out to be a deadly plot, one that fortunately law enforcement uncovered in time to save his life. As we've seen, betrayal and deception can turn the most intimate relationships into something sinister. These cases remind us of the dark extremes some will go to, and the vigilance required to stop such plots in their tracks. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more true crime stories and updates.